Hello and welcome to Third Eye Africa TV. Once again, we are looking at democracy in action. In Nigeria, there is democracy, uninterrupted, since 1999. But are there issues on ground that should be tackled? Yes, there are, especially when it comes to the rights of many people, rights of women, right of the girl child. The people physically challenge quite a lot of things. And today, there is the clamor for what they call reserve seat bill. Reserve for who? We are told that in Nigeria, women occupy just 4% of lawmakers at the National Assembly. Compare that with Rwanda that has 61%. Then you look at the population of Nigeria, compare that with Rwanda. Is it fair? We want to look at that because we do have advocates here and there who want to ensure that there is equity. Equity for everybody. Human rights are universal. Also, Nigeria is therefore clamoring that there has to be some reserve seats. So a bill is in the offing, and I want to invite a guest that is a household name, always on screen, TV, the media, always there advocating for human rights. And I want to talk of and with a gender activist. I'm talking of Madam Ene Ede. Welcome to Third Eye Africa TV.
Thank you so much for the compliment. We appreciate this opportunity.
My name is Ben Sherman. Welcome again to Third Eye Africa TV. Now let us look at, it's like the statistics are a bit worrying or worrisome, that in Nigeria only 4% of women are there. We have how many members at the House of Reps? 360. We have at the Senate 109. So what really is the statistics like when it comes to women representation at the National Assembly?
Before I respond to your question, let me thank the Third Eye Africa for giving us this opportunity. We're not taking it for granted at all. But so that the depth of understanding of this bill, you have mentioned that the bill is for Nigeria, and that is how it is. So you understand the spirit and the soul of the bill. House Bill 1349 being proposed and promoted by men mostly, especially the Deputy Speaker, the Representative Kalu, is the Deputy Speaker of Nigerian House of Representatives. We have never really had that in history. We had something close to that when the Chief of Staff now to the President proposed a bill similar to this, Right Honorable Bajabi Amila. But our joy is that it means there is something unique about this bill. The way you understand it, I have not heard anybody, even when most of the men, the proponents talk about it this way. You understand it from a depth and height that is uncommon. So we are grateful for that because it causes a lot of controversy in the first instance. Let me go back to your question about the statistics. If we want to begin to explore the statistics, I wish we were able to get sufficient statistics from Invictus Africa. You know, when it comes to gender statistics, Invictus Africa would see they are just top on this matter. You talked about one of the statistics. If we look back into history, just taking a little excursion into history, that in 1960, we had only one woman in the Senate and in the Western region, courtesy of the regional leader there, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, who had great foresight. He appointed a woman to be in the Senate. You know, a lot of people are not aware. Worola, If you look at what happened then, you begin to wonder if in 1960, that is how many years after, we are still talking about low statistics, then it's not only something that should only concern people, but it should trouble people to the extent that they take an immediate action. That's why we are happy about this. If you look at the House of Representatives, we have 360 vibrant, the People's Assembly, but only 15 women from all around the country. And there are regions that don't even have representation at that House of Representatives, People's Assembly. It means it's not truly People's Assembly. Then when you go to the Senate, 109, where you have very matured, older citizens, where the knowledge of women should come in, you have only 4. And with even the 4, one of them is on suspension. So it's more like 3 that are actively involved, though she's not on leave from her constituency. So if you also look at African level, the rating currently as at today is that out of 49 countries that have signed onto the Maputo Protocol, out of all the countries in Africa, they are rating around parliamentary engagement in terms of equity, in terms of involvement of women, social inclusion, persons with disabilities, women, youth, men of different backgrounds. You realize that Nigeria is at the bottom, 49 out of 49. So where does that leave us? It doesn't sit well with us as a country. It doesn't suit our largeness, our intellect. Everything God has given us doesn't sit well. And when you go to the global level, you notice too that out of 183 countries, Nigeria is 173. So it means those few steps to dropping at the bottom. Even countries that are predominantly Muslims, or countries that are predominantly Christians, or countries that are socialist, countries that are capitalist by nature, by their choice, you realize that they are still doing so well. So everyone is struggling to do well, but Nigeria is struggling to go backward. This is why the understanding has come at this time that we should have this bill. The statistics is not good for us. Finally, at the state assembly level, there are 15 states of assembly, houses of assembly, that don't have a single woman. And because of the commitment we have made from the global level to regional level to ECOWAS level, as well as Commonwealth level, Nigeria is under obligation to have a committee on women, especially after the Beijing conference, which is now 30 years. So 30 years after, you have 15 houses of assembly that don't have a single woman. It means it's a man that will be the chair committee on women affairs. So if you want to engage him on menstrual hygiene, breastfeeding, you want to engage him on illnesses, ailments that are unique to women, what will he say? Is he going to hire a woman to come and be speaking? He's supposed to be speaking from point of knowledge, experience. So these are the huge gaps we have that is traumatizing the entire system called governance and leadership. So there are huge gaps as a result of women not being able to enter the governance table. And we have come to the realization that once the governance table has gaps in terms of persons with disabilities, women, ethnic nationalities not coming to the table cannot be strong. That is our conviction that the table will be stronger if we have everybody around. They are making contribution from their own perspectives, their experiences, their condition, which is peculiar to them. You can't bring somebody from Southern Kaduna to now be talking for somebody from Niger Delta. The contexts are different entirely. So it's important that the representation, because of the dictates, the very spirit and soul of democracy, there should be that visible representation at the table.
Hmm. Now, when you look at it, this legislative arm of government,
Yeah.
there has to be some contests. It goes beyond appointments. So, in terms of this legislative contests, should the women too contest against their fellow men, or there should be some ways of the women will contest against women when it comes to some positions?
Yeah, these questions have been asked severally, and there are a lot of people who don't get it. They can't believe it that what we are proposing is democratic. Yet, at the level of the United Nations, which we belong to, the Commonwealth, African Union, and the ECOWAS, haven't reviewed all the mechanisms and the democratic values. They have come to the safe conclusion that unless there is an affirmative action, by the way, that was part of the reason why we had a Beijing conference in 1995, which is 30 plus now. And that is the reason why we have the MDGs in the first place and the SDGs. Then that is the very reason why we have the Maputo Protocol, and several articles that speak directly to the reserve seats. It's not only in Nigeria that there is a clamor for reserve seats. Unless there is that deliberate, conscious effort, it's not like you want to water down democracy. It's still part of the democratic process. Take, for example, if you go to why do we have the Human Rights Commission? Why do we have the Federal Character Commission? If you allow a state like Kano with 44 local government areas, I've done some work there as a journalist. If you allow them, if you want them to use, because democracy is about number. So if you allow them to use their number, they have the highest number of representatives in the legislature, except for the Senate, where it's statutory that you have only 3. Even if you have 100 local government areas, it's still 3. But it does not relegate it does not stop them from having the position. There's no restriction on the number of seats they have in the Houses of Assembly as well as in the House of Representatives. So that goes to tell you that unless you take special measures, every country does that. America does that. UK does that. If you don't take that special measures, which is not undemocratic, you will not be able to. What is the spirit of the bill? The bill says, let's have just 1 seat per state and FCT. That is 37.
Yes. In fact, we'll come to that.
Okay.
We are doing a kind of a build-up to that.
Yeah.
Now, you see, we've spoken about the legislative arm.
Yes.
Now, let's go to the executive, for example.
Okay, sorry, you asked a question that is more like it's given.
Yeah.
This is not given. It's earned because they are those seats will be contested for. So it's not like charity. It's not tokenism. It's not inferior seat. It's not superior seat.
So you want them to contest?
Yes, they will contest. That is the bill. That is the content of the bill. All those seats being requested for, just 1 per state, just 1.
Okay, we'll come to that. Now look at the executive, where women to join hands campaign. Now a party has won. Yet in terms of appointments, you just see that it's so abysmal. The level, the number of ministers that have been appointed in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Are you satisfied with what you?
How can we be satisfied? You talk about women campaigning. It's not only campaigning; they are the ones praying so that there will be safety, so that there won't be fight, there won't be kidnappers, so that platforms will not collapse. You've seen several times that platforms collapse. That alone is enough to send some people into their early graves. They are the ones campaigning so that there will be resources. They are the ones cooking. Do you see men wear uniforms so often? They are the ones who will be singing and dancing to make it very colorful. They will be the one who will be mediating in case there is a trouble, in case there is a conflict, which they always have within political settings. They do so much. They do so much of silent democracy but not being able to earn. Because democracy is supposed to be that as you put in, you are also able to benefit. So we still cannot understand why women will put in so much and benefit very little. I'd like you to go back to, let's look at what happened during President Jonathan. He had 13 female ministers, 13 cabinet ministers in key positions. And what did that do? It's not about having the women to just decorate the table, because women come with very colorful dresses. You are wearing navy blue, I'm wearing royal blue. But you see, because of the way we are gifted, the way we adorn our own, you can see yours is different. Yours is looking calm. My own is not looking calm. So that is also the beauty that women bring to the table. We were somewhere 2 days ago, and I'll still come back to the Jonathan era, and were only 2 women. But what I like about what happened is that the 2 of us, a younger woman and myself, the crucial decision was to be taken. And the way they brought it, it was the capitalist nature of the men that played out on that decision. Then we, the socialist inclined people, women, we now said, oh, what if you look at it this way? Eventually we were able to get it. That's why if you go back to President Jonathan, 47 of them, there were 13 women. And it was well spread. You had people from the Middle Belt, you had people from other ethnic nationalities, you had people from what they call the 3 major tribes, then you have people from different Christians, Muslims. There was a good spread, and we saw the impact in our lives. You felt it now. Everybody felt it. Outside the country, they felt it. Residents of Nigeria, they felt it. How? Because they bring various values to bear. I want you to look at what happened when Dr. Konjo Iweala was there. Was that not that period? Okay, when she was a minister during President Obasanjo, how many countries have had their debt written off? It takes a woman who has knowledge, who is patriotic, who has empathy to be able to do that. So if you look at everywhere there, everything the women did was unique. In every ministry, the budget felt it. The National Assembly too felt it. So this is what we asked for. We are not asking that women, somebody had asked us, do you want the women to join the League of Looters of our Commonwealth? No. How many women have been involved in looting on her own? Not that she's motivated or propelled or indicted. Let's look at it now. They bring uniqueness they bring stability. They bring a lot of goodness. They bring prosperity. So the core thing we are talking about is about the prosperity and enjoyment of Nigerians and Nigeria as a country. We are not enjoying now.
Yes. So let us begin to unveil some things.
Okay.
Culturally, religiously, and some beliefs. Like former President Buhari will say that the women belong to the kitchen.
And the other room.
Now, culturally, some people still feel that culture supersedes. Stay at home. Why go around campaigning and your husband is back home? How should the Nigerian woman overcome this, I believe?
Yeah, it's for us to continue to have dialogue and have good conversation. And those who are the proponents of stabilizing or normalizing these cultures, is for them to listen and begin to reason properly and see what is happening. Even in Saudi Arabia, initially women were not allowed to go and watch football. See how Saudi Arabia is progressing now. Women were not allowed to drive. Women are beginning to drive. Women were not allowed to contest election. Women were not allowed in certain public places. How can't we look and say, it doesn't sit well with us to want to normalize the norms. The norms now is that this is what the culture says, this is what the religion says. I see people wear things now. It was not the norm then or the value them of their religion, Islamic, that you have something there you use as your chesbi. instead of using the long one. And I've seen different kinds of rosary, those that are Catholics. Why is it that religion that is not static, culture that is not static, that is growing, is dynamic, is moving around civilization, development, and growth, when it comes to women, they want to put it down. They want to move us backward into the Stone Age. It doesn't make sense. No religion is static. Even in the pre-colonial Africa, we had the house of women, we have the house of men, and the house of women was the supreme arbiter. That if there was anything very difficult, they say, please refer it to the house of men. If you read Sheikh Ante Diop's, a Sierra Leonean's book on the origin of African civilization, that there was so much effort to truncate that effort. You read it, you see many women across Africa that they were leading in administration, in military, in governance, in leadership, in home care, in farming. They did very well. How did we suddenly slow down our women? Can't we think that perhaps that is the reason why we have this problem we have now? What they call Aba Women's Riot, that we got to discover that it was Africa, Ikotabasi women's protest. I've been to the scene. I did a story on it when we had a partnership with Equity Advocates. Did a story on it. We went to the riverbank. Where were the 29 women? One of them was grandmother of the leader of them was grandmother of Senator Udo Udoma. Why did they come out boldly to rescue men? You know, they came out to rescue men, not that they were fighting for themselves. So women fight for the soul of societies. They fight for the soul of nations. They can brace it. They do so much, not only in giving birth. So no religion is static. No culture is static. No socialization is static. So we should move.
So you feel in terms of religion or even culture, is it being misapplied, misappropriated, or wrongly
it is being misapplied to suppress their own growth, not the growth of women necessarily. Because if you say a woman is not growing, you can grow. But the danger, there is something, I mentioned it yesterday when I was talking, honoring the memory of one of Africa's finest poets, political leaders in Nigeria, in Africa, Professor Okele Uchuli. And I recall that he's been working on mock African AU summit. It started when it was OAU. That is 525. That was when the African Union was, Organization of African Union was established.
I participated in one of those
exactly. How did you feel?
We even did it in Ogun State during NYC. What we were doing in ABU. And
how did you feel?
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I was given the role of a reporter.
You see that?
And
you didn't even know you were coming. You see that? And what he did is that there are a lot of people that they resonate with that because it's younger people. But when it comes to older women like me, they say, no, I don't want my wife, my grandmother, my this to be part of it. There's somebody very prominent armed forces person who later contested as a governor. He said, this thing is not good for my wife. We're talking about equity. He said, it's not good for my wives, but it's good for my children. Are your children not females? They are younger version of the women that are at home. So that is also the dynamic. That is where to tell you that it's not my word though. One of my former bosses, my country director will say, that is fraud. Why do you want something for a version of a species? You want something for the lion. You don't want it for the lioness. Or you want it for the dogs. You don't want it for the dog, but you want it for the puppies. Why? It means there is something they are trying to hide. And in trying to hide that, you can see that no culture, even them, their culture, have they not modernized their cultures? Are they not modernizing their religion? Before, the way you used to do religion, was there online services? Now there is online. Was there online giving? Why did we not say, okay, you have to bring money, so if you don't have cash, then there will be no offering? Everywhere, everything is modernized to suit our situation without it diminishing the value of the institution. So it's just that they don't want to grow. And in trying to put your own down, it means you cannot grow. All part of you should grow. You can't say my leg you can grow, but my hand you don't need to grow, or my eyes remain static. So the whole part of the body, if it's not growing evenly, it becomes problematic. It calls for emergency. They'll be looking for specialized doctors. So that's the situation we are in today.
So we look at Maputo Declaration.
Yes.
2003.
Yes.
The adoption
21 years ago.
Yes. 2025,
Yes.
thereafter, some countries started domesticating.
Exactly.
I know. So we're talking about African Charter, human rights, even that of UN.
Yeah.
Equality, equity, men, women, not forgetting the
Yes.
physically challenged.
Yes.
You know. And so, in your own estimation, how has it been in Nigeria? Maputo Declaration.
We only ratified, we didn't domesticate. You know, by our constitution, once you sign on to any empowerment framework outside the country, whether at the United Nations or the Commonwealth or African Union or ECOWAS, you still have to come home because of your constitution. You still have to go to the National Assembly to say, okay, this is what we have signed. Let's check with our constitution. Does it violate any part of our constitution? Is it in sync with any part of our constitution? The thing about why smarter countries, what they have done to smartly move is that they bring it, they give it to experts, they look at it and they realize that it is only reinforcing what is in their constitution, because nobody is living in isolation. And many of them have been able to adopt this, put it in their constitution. See ECOWAS here, see what is happening in Ghana, see what is happening in Togo, many other African countries, ECOWAS countries, they have gone far. But we, 21 years after, we've not been able to domesticate. It's when we domesticate, then we'll now be implemented. But what part of it is that? What people can't understand is that there's a provision that says that state parties, that everybody that has ratified will be producing report. It will be interesting to look at the report we've been taken to the African Union 21 years ago, because you have the mandate, you are mandated by the article that, look, you will continue to report your progress. So what is the progress we are making that we are reporting? There is a monitoring and evaluation. That's why this reserve seat now is important for us to be able to look for what to report at the next meeting. Because one, people complain that CEDAW, Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Violence Against Women, is foreign. How is it foreign? Is it not all of us that gathered there that made up the United Nations? African countries, Asian countries. The rest of us put together, we're even more than the other matured.
Africa with around 54
exactly.
countries.
So what countries are we talking about? We don't need to look for flimsy excuse, because it doesn't sit well with us, because in Africa, in the whole world, we are competing favorably. So we don't have to make ourselves begin to think small. We are large, so we should behave large. So Nigeria is not doing well. Look, the Article 23, special protection for women with disabilities. Are we doing that? That's why I'm in love with this House Bill 1349, because it will give women with disabilities, women of different background, women from the Niger Delta, women from the Fufude women from Southern Kaduna, women of Igede stock, women of different ones who have been historically excluded. They will be able to be part of governance, because this Maputo Protocol is our own homegrown framework. It's Africa. Our cultures generally are very close. So it's not like this is African, this is Asian, this is American, this is Russian, this is Chinese, this is that. So all the excuses have been diminished. So we have no excuse any longer to give. Yeah. The whole provisions are there. Yes. It's very clear.
We'll come to that, but we'll go on a very short break. And like you said, we are all one. same color of blood.
Exactly.
Okay, you know, so let's see what we'll discuss in the next part as we go on a very short break. Our guest has been Ene Ede. My name is Ben Shaman.
We're talking about South and the North. You talk about middle belt. Currently in Nigeria, we don't have middle belt. North Central is what we have.
Okay.
And they are included in the North. If the perception is because Nigeria is standing on a tripod, you have Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, they are the owners of Nigeria. That is a very wrong perception. These are major tribes in Nigeria. Simple.
Yeah.
Nigeria is owned by every single citizen of this country.
If you go to civilized nations, they possibly have, stratified their political parties such that those who play at the national level are there. And at the local level, you have other minor political parties playing there. And it gives sense of belonging to every citizen to be able to contest.
And in fact, once you have joined APC, all your sins are forgiven.
It's okay. It's okay. Up your mind. It's okay.
This is Third Eye Africa TV, exposing crime, savaging the nation.
Back to this second part of the program, or the show rather. We have been talking about human rights. We've been talking about the rights of the woman. We've been talking about that position the Nigerian woman should occupy.
Yeah.
You know, now we're having this bill, reserve seat bill in Nigeria. So maybe you lead Nigerians, the men, the women, the youths, the physically challenged, everybody, as to the very basic content of this bill.
Thank you so much. You see, we didn't start this today. I went to Action Aid. I was just doing research to see what had been done in the past. I even forgot that I was part of a team that was working on, they say, paving the path. If you put that on Google search or you ask AI, ask AI. You know, one thing I like about AI, when you ask AI the right questions, the AI will always pop up, and the AI is never tired of responding. AI will tell you, do you need this? Do you need that? Give you leading questions.
Hoping that it don't make the women and children lazy too?
No, not at all. No, unless those who want to be lazy on their own, because the originality will not be there if you just go and do. You can ask and you build on your knowledge.
Okay,
it's just to give a leading. Yes, the bill now, see, the bill is very simple. What the bill is saying is that, look, because the condition to contest is not favorable, we can see that apart from the money, the emotional torture that women go through. I contested the election. At the point I said, okay, what is the big deal about this? I didn't know there is a big deal about contesting election in Nigeria.
So what's the big deal?
The big deal is that, look, the environment is not conducive. The environment is not welcoming. The environment is very harsh. The environment is very tormenting. The environment is very aggressive. So with all this, what I'm using
because you're a woman or something,
is for everybody, but more for women because of our circumstance. So it's not welcoming. It's a ring that is full of old boys club that they have decided to fortify themselves, and it's like this. You want to come through here, they can press you down. You want to jump through, they can throw you up. You want to crawl, they can press you down. So you need so much tact. You need so much to be able to contest. That's why we're asking. One, what we're asking is basic in the bill. And I'd like us to understand, because people, those who think futuristic, are beginning to be afraid. There is no need to be afraid. It will just be, the implementation will just be for 16 years. Right? 4 electoral cycles. It's every 4 years. We contest, we do general elections. So now we want just 1 seat for House of Representatives, 1 seat for all the states and FCT. Then we want 1 seat for House of for the Senate, for FCT, and all the 36 states. So 37 plus 37 is how many? 74. Then we're also looking at 108 seats for the Houses of Assembly. We understand, because
that's all over the federation.
Yes, all over the country. 3 per state. 3 per state. It means you will be able to have at least additional 3 women. For states that don't even have women at all, you have 3 women. And what is the spirit of it? Like I emphasized earlier, it's not given, it's earned. It's going to go through all the political parties. If INEC chooses to screen and have 100 political parties, 100 political parties are under the obligation and liberty. I say obligation and liberty because you must not. You know, some of them just align with others. So you present one person through competitive process. Then that person must be a woman. That is the spirit of this bill. All these seats we are requesting for will be contested by only women from different political parties. It's not just a woman that you will not bring an Amina, or you bring an Ngozi, or you bring an Chinelo, or you bring Munirat, or you bring Asebe, and you bring them that they will come and contest. You are not selecting. It's not a selection. INEC will work it out. People have asked, will it not add to the cost? No. We have checked. It's only 1% to the total cost. And what is the benefit? The benefit is that if you don't have women at the table, the cost of keeping them away is more than 20%. We are being modest now.
Actually, I was looking at that when you begin to look at how much is being sunk into running the legislative arm of government. Now we're talking of having
extra
women.
Seats.
Yes.
By the time women come in, you will see that certain leakages, certain things. It's not to create fear in anybody. Women are known to be good economists. To close leakages, to also look for other viable ways of running the legislature. It's possible. But, it has happened.
Some people will say the women are also the problems of their fellow women.
They cannot be now. You know, see why I say so. Let me give you an example. The 4 women in the Senate, I happen to know them personally except one. We have supported a number of them. The fact that they may not be sufficiently available to the level we want for our meetings and we may not have sufficient access, that does not make them enemies of other women, because what is pursuing them is much more than what is pursuing the men. Men have a way of getting, the man can just go to the club. Take for example, Senator Ireti. If she's troubled about something, will she get up at 12 midnight and go to a club? It will be misunderstood. But any of the senators there can always get up, go to the club, go to a friend's house, knock at a friend's door. So the situation of the women is significantly different from that of the men. So that does not make them enemies of each other.
Yes. Now, Senator Natasha has some issues.
Yes.
Now, will she be fighting for you outside or inside? Now, I remember during the campaigns of those days when you're talking about, you just mentioned Senator Ireti Kingibe now. You were always around with her, going all over the place, and so they won. To what extent are these people also helping to support this reserve seat bill?
Yes, Senator, you know, just like I said earlier, the emphasis... many of them have reached menopause, and men don't understand menopause because their biological interference with our normal living does not happen with the men. Yes, the expectation sometimes unjustifiably high when it comes to women. I know too that proponents of women empowerment, both men and women, have said that, look, because much has been given, much is being expected. Because of your situation, because of where you are coming from, it means you have to go extra mile to be able to do what others are doing. To that extent, it can be challenging for the women. It's not always easy for the women to be able to do some of the things that men do. For example, somebody was asking us, that if Minister Wike was a woman now, that if Senator Ireti was a minister, we should be investing on infrastructure as against investing in other soft areas that have the capacity, like education, like human resources, like health, that have the capacity, agriculture, to grow the human resource to the extent that it will affect the quality of governance and leadership in terms of the prospects that the citizens get from it, the feeling they get from it, the illness that will be diminished. But others argue that if you have infrastructure, it's a superstructure that will come to fortify all this, and you'll be able to have your way out. Yeah. So for women, it's not very easy for you to have the access you want. For example, if you go to senatoriety at 12 midnight, it's not the likelihood for an interview. The likelihood is that she may not be available. But if it's a man, right from the gate, you say, oh, come in. It will not be misunderstood. So it will also be good for us to balance this, that yes, the women may want to work, but the system is such that it prevents them from doing the right thing. Nevertheless, most of the women are doing better than the men.
Okay. Now, as part of that, they are doing
No, you
better.
asked if Senator Natasha will be supporting from inside, from outside. One thing I know about women is that whether they're in power or out of power, whether they're on suspension or not, they will still do what they need to do because it's their nature to give, it's their nature to serve. You can see what Senator Natasha has been doing at the community level.
Okay. Now, still talking this very bill. Yeah. In terms of engagement,
yeah.
We were hearing at the point that, look, before you even move a motion, before you bring a bill, especially, in fact, even the lawmakers, they don't have it easy, not to talk of private bills, those outside. So what really is the situation now on this bill in either the Senate or House of Reps?
Yeah, you see, if you look at history, at some time, some of us were discouraged. I know that in 2023, 2015, many women had to shed tears openly because of the disappointment. There was commitment that the bill would pass and it didn't pass. Well, this is not the first time that this bill is being presented or proposed. However, the momentum that is gathering and the understanding, and the more understanding it will gain, tells me that there is so much that will be done. The commitment is not fake. Let me give you an example. The collaboration between Mr. Speaker and the Deputy Speaker, and I will send you the speech that Mr. Speaker gave that day. It was so profound. Not that he tried to manage expectations. It's okay. In a situation this don't happen, how do we go for this? So he managed the expectation to the extent that he looked at both sides. Like there's a piece that somebody did, the pros and cons of the bill. Some say, are the women ready? Today, if you want the women, if you want is it monocultural, this thing, one assembly, the women can feel it, but that is not the intention of the women. So what we are saying in essence is that we have never gathered this momentum before, men and women, those who questions that could not be responded to before, we are able to respond to it. We are not fighting, we are not agitating, we are not angry, we are not accusing anybody. So the challenges we're having is systemic, and we know that together we can work. We are very conscious of the fact that anytime we go out there at the United Nations, especially when we have parliamentary activities, you find that they say, hey, what is wrong with you? I'm so happy that the Senate president came back and said, look, the first interview he granted, they are asking him, how was your meeting this? The first thing he said, look, we need to pass the reserve seats bill. Somebody say, what is that out of fear? No. I understand his antecedents too. Beyond the fact that he was rated as the best supporter of women in Nigeria, I recall that at a conference in 2013, he said, you are all gathered here in an African level conference. Why won't you go to the site where the 29 women were slaughtered in 2029? Yes, 2020. No, 1929. Sorry, 1929. So I went there personally.
1929.
Exactly. I remember going there with Talatu Ezerike. We went to the site. NT, I had a partnership with Equity, Equity Advocate have a partnership with NT. We went to the site 5 a.m. We braced. We were not even afraid of kidnapping then. So with what he did then, and the rating he had, we know that the Senate president will not want to go lower. And this president too, we know too that he has supported so many women. Yes, Tinubu has mentored women. He has modeled women. He had promoted women. He has guided them. So is it now he wants to disappoint himself? The whole world is watching. So my thinking is that because the understanding is increasing and we'll see have more conversation of the tradition. Imagine the Oni. Are you not surprised that they only say, look, I'm for this seat. I've understood it better. I know by the time we go to the Sultan and some other traditional rulers and religious leaders around Nigeria, they will accept. Some have reservation. They say, explain to us what will happen. Will this bill now come and suppress those who have been suppressed before? What if a man just comes, which is a possibility if he is not guarded, comes from any part of the country and say, okay, the 74 reserve seats, the 37 in the Senate, I sponsor all of them as part of my magnanimity. You know that is not the right thing. It's not a democratic behavior. It will have to be suspicious. Then the 37 seats for the House of Representatives, I pay for all of them, will be suspicious because it's likely to deepen the gap. To cause the marginalization more. So we want to see a situation where we find organic emergence. Let women emerge. Because over time, 1960 to date, in motions, in bills, constituency offices, appropriations and all that, women have done extremely well. So the women coming in now will not come to deepen corruption. They can only deepen democracy. And the issues are there for us to contest. Nigeria, the good thing about Nigeria is that we talk, we are very opinionated, we discuss. It means when you can discuss, then you know that you arrive at a solution. When you keep quiet and it comes to voting, you vote against, it's a problem.
So, and I hope the women are not keeping quiet like you are saying.
No, we are not.
Because they are amending the constitution too. The role of the women to ensure that look, they are also...
No, we've been appearing, women have been doing so well that even the number that appear, and we must continue to be grateful to the Speaker, Deputy Speaker, the Senate President, and some other people, international organizations like the UN Women, the UNDP. Plaque has done the greatest work in terms of local NGOs coordinating. Because if you look at this since for so long, they've been supporting women groups. Like they just conducted a survey. Once it's out, when it's released, I will share with you on the survey on the bill. What are people saying? What are the findings? And we want to be able to close the gaps. And the survey is good because we can surmount all the challenges they have identified. So once we identify a challenge, it's very easy to close. So I believe Nigeria is set to have this bill so that the rating, which is problematic, and the way people see us, look at Nigeria, it will be a thing of the past. It's not difficult. It's not taking anybody's mandate. It's not taking anybody's authority. It's not making anybody a woman or a man. The woman and the man, we cannot say we are equal in terms of biological makeup. No, we are differently gifted. And we are differently enabled. That's why we feel that when women are there, there's more prosperity for a country.
So, a very last one.
Yeah.
I call it a parting shot.
Yeah.
This bill.
Yes.
If there is any obstacle that you are thinking, what do you think is that obstacle and to overcome it?
I don't see any obstacle. I don't see any obstacle at all because if you are crossing a barrier, there's a barrier here, you need to jump, and you have opportunity to jump. Will you see any barrier? No. All you need is the energy to jump, the political will to jump, the resources to jump all these obstacles. Everything is set.
Not even culture, not even religion.
Not at all. Those things are ancient justifications that have given way to reality. Truth is superior. Truth is constant. So we don't need to molest ourselves. I don't see any.
Are not the Nigerian women, they said Nigerian elite are trying to set some people free.
No, not at all. It's not about setting people free in that sense. When we talk about the freedom and prosperity, we are saying let everybody, let there be equity of enjoyment, equity of liberty, equity of unleashing your potential, equity of doing what is right. It's not, you should erode a form of suspicion. Nobody should suspect this bill. This bill is a good bill. It's good for Nigeria.
And it is good for humanity.
Yes.
And it is here that we have to end this edition of Democracy in Action. You're on to Third Eye Africa TV, and you've been having a vibrant guest talking of Madam Ene Ede. I want to thank you for coming to Third Eye Africa.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity. And you see the blessing you receive for giving women this opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thank you.